As you're probably aware, I've been off the channels for a while. I actually wasn't working yesterday because I've got a very sore throat, a hugely bad cough, and I'm feeling pretty crappy. Everything hurts. But here we are, back in the car, and I had a very productive morning, which I'll tell you more about in a minute. But first of all, some interesting news. The last time I spoke to you, Inde-Car's monetisation with YouTube at that time, and this is a couple of days ago, had produced earnings of about $1.50. So it was pretty mediocre, to say the least. However, as of today, I can tell you that the monetisation of the Inde-Car channel has achieved the heady heights of $10 of earnings for this month. As a whole. So this is good news. I'm not sure just exactly how much money is going to be made on a monthly basis from this monetization, but if it's somewhere between $50 and $100 a month, then that is pretty useful, and that would go a long way to helping the channel to survive well into the future. Now, the subject of the channel surviving well into the future, I also had a long meeting this morning with the head of the Scotland channel, and we had arranged to meet this morning to shoot some new film for the title sequence for the Scotland channel's version of Inde-Car. And for the time being, at least, we've decided that the Inde-Car program on the Scotland channel will probably be a highlights edition from whatever the previous 2 or 3 editions were, and I may actually film that separately, so it may not go out as a live show as these are doing at the moment, but that is largely so that the footage from recordings can be uploaded easily enough for the Scotland channel to bookend it with the appropriate titles and to edit it correctly so that it appears as a much more professionally produced television show. So that's all happening in the next few months, so I'm delighted with that. The other things that we discussed today that are interesting is I was told this morning that the Scotland channel is planning a chat show and has managed to, at the moment, so far at least, make contact with a very famous Scottish actor. Now, there are a number of very famous Scottish actors whom you might think would want to be interviewed on a channel which is pro-independence in general, but pro-Scotland in a more sort of broad sense. So this is apparently going to happen soon, and it's likely that the interview with this actor will take place at some point before Christmas, most likely in Inverness or somewhere near Inverness, probably at a hotel. But that's all I can tell you at the moment. Even the producer wouldn't tell me the name of the actor involved, apart from the fact that it wasn't some of the more outspoken people that you might know who are pro-independence. For example, was it Peter Mullen, one of them, and who else did he mention to me? Brian Cox was another person he mentioned to me. That's not Brian Cox, and it's not Mr. Mullen. So there are a number of people that it's not. So I was trying to figure out who it actually was from the number of people that he mentioned that it wasn't. And I've got a fair idea who this might be, but let's wait and see. But according to the producer, he was telling me the most prominent Scottish actors in TV and movies are pro-independence. You'll know Alan Cumming is pro-independence. So there are many different people who are pro-independence who might like to be interviewed. So I wait to see who this is going to be. We also discussed the planning of coverage for the first space launch from Saxiford by a Scottish company. That is something we intend to pursue over the next few months, so that when either Orbex or Skyrora, the 2 Scottish launcher companies, are ready to launch, we want to be there in person to film it and to show you what the Scottish space program can achieve by itself without England's help. In other words, a Scottish rocket with a Scottish satellite launching from the Scottish launch site. And if that all goes according to plan, that will be a world first, and Scotland will become, for the first time ever, a space-capable nation, which is something which most small countries can only dream of. So that's coming up as well. So a number of potentially interesting things coming up in the near future. Now, just as well as that, there's been some noticeable activity online where people are discussing the SNP's MPs, current sitting MPs, and MSPs, all vying with each other now to be basically considered as candidates for the 2026 Holyrood elections. Now, quite apart from the fact that we knew this was going to happen, this is almost inevitable, I've also seen some evidence today that the SNP intends to pursue its discredited and largely ineffective SNP votes 1 and 2 policy at the general election in Holyrood, which is almost a guarantee that unionist parties will get in on the second vote. However, and this is the interesting however, an online poll which I got sight of today showed that contrary to what the SNP expects people to do, 55% of those polled in this online poll said that they would vote SNP 1 and ALBA 2. There were other choices as well. One was ALBA 1 and SNP 2, ALBA 1 and ISP 2, and so on. But the vast majority of people did not intend to vote SNP 1 and 2. In fact, the people supporting that were down in the low teens, basically 12, 13%, which is interesting because it shows that the voting people, the electorate of Scotland, are no longer fooled by this SNP 1 and 2 nonsense, because it plainly doesn't work. The arithmetic doesn't stack up. The D'Hondt voting system used in the second list vote doesn't produce an SNP MSP at the end of the day. It just allows another unionist party to get in on that seat. However, if the ISP or ALBA are on the list and people vote for them, it is far more likely that one of their MSPs would be elected, and that would produce a pro-independence majority, which is far more important than having more SNP MSPs. I would fully expect, incidentally, that the SNP will get a majority of first past the post seats. I think that is a given because people know that the SNP is likely to win that vote. But what happens with the second vote is more important. Anyway, because my voice is about to give up here, I think I'll call a halt to today's program. But I'd like to thank you all of you who have posted online saying that you hope I have a speedy recovery. Well, I hope I have a speedy recovery as well. Certainly my voice is a bit croaky and I'm still feeling a bit sore and generally coughing my lungs up, but I try and do that off camera outside the car. But there you go, that's just life, isn't it? And a lot of people have had this particular chest infection and I'm no different from everybody else. Anyway, that is it from Inde-Car today, but I thought you'd like to know the good news that Inde-Car and the Scotland channel have secured the deal. Inde-Car will be produced on the Scotland channel on a weekly basis, and you'll be able to see those programmes by accessing the Scotland channel website, and they'll be available to view at any time. So if you're ever looking for me in the future, and once we get this set up in the next month or two, you'll be able to find Inde-Car anytime you like on the Scotland channel, and it will look at a compilation of all the main topics that have been covered in the previous week by Inde-Car live streams. So I'm going to continue my live streams as a separate effort, if you like. They will continue as they are now, but there will be additional recorded stuff going out on the Scotland channel too, just in the same format as this. Anyway, that's it from Inde-Car today. Keep the faith, and I hope you don't get this bug. It's pretty horrible. But in the meantime, I'll see you again next time on Inde-Car. Bye for now.